Anji, good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Siksha.
Good
How are
morning,
you
sir.
all? Anji, good morning. Good morning, everybody. How's everyone? All good?
Yes, sir.
Great. So, how's your practicals going on? हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा
हो रहा है सर.
है Very good. That's good. Wonderful. So it's very important in case if you have any good project with you. So this is just an experiment given to you by but I prefer you must try some good projects. Some big projects are also in means you can cover, and I think you can think on some real time applications. Probably you must have some session your project also this time, I believe. Okay. So today I think let's talk about another important part, which is your one of the other part, that is data science with R language. So did you ever tried? Give me a minute. Your code is MCSL. uh, just give me a minute. I think it's 229. MCSL 229. No, not this one. Give me a minute. Let me check. MCSL. Yeah. Right, it's MCSL 229. There we have concepts related to data science lab. So in data science lab, again you will find some code, and today I think we are supposed to work with the data science lab and their sessions. So let's go through one by one. again in data science, like as I told you, like one of the other uh, scientific language, I would say it's very good to go with the analytical and data science algorithms. And how to start with R language, again similar like Python, it is also very easy language, right? Because there again you are not supposed to face any challenge about variable declarations or the monotonous model of program writing. So in the same pattern you will find a lot of things, and you will find various session wise exercises are available. So you are supposed to work for that, right? And now if we'll start with today like R language, so we have a lot of queries given there. But what is the best practice? I would suggest go with, again as I told you, I think in one of the session we discussed R also. And just give me a minute, I'll share my screen. And now you can see that we are supposed to go through with the Python, your not Python, this is your R language using W3 schools, right? Or Geek for Geek or W3 schools, right? So even if you start with again W3 schools, you will find a lot of details about this, and again the statistical, graphical, and some data structure related programs are there. So same way, by using W3 schools, you will find a simple content and you will get some results. Okay, so how to work on it? I think you can see it's very simple. Like simply you just write down like hello word, and the hello word is there. You write like simple 5 plus 5. So the output is directly 10. So there is no such requirement to even declare a variables and all. It's just like English or even a simple statement, right? It's not programming, in fact, just like a simple statement. So if you just go through these steps, and accordingly you will get the results and various other options available, that how you can make your own programs and complex programs over there. Although the variables are there, numericals, and every type of data set is there. So you have to go through one by one and step by step, just go through. For today's session we are supposed to go with the R language. Okay, so figure out like what are the data types. So even you have a like numeric. So what is numeric? Again, the decimal value to be also considered as a numeric, right? Integer means a long values where L declared as an integer, right? Complex values, so you can define like where I is the imaginary number. So like in mathematics you used to write some imaginary numbers and all, right? Some variables or imaginary numbers, that is what we can go and write it like this. Even we have a characters which is like string, and a logical where you have true or false as a boolean. So now the important part, generally, like if we'll declare a variable, so we used to write x equals to some number. Okay, we generally used to write x equals to number, but in this case the best part, you can define both the ways. For that you have to define the direction indicator sort of. This is a one of the direction indicator I have selected. If you can see this, can you see this a screen, or shall I share it again? Yes, it's going on. Yeah. So just take a look. There you have a screen, and on the screen you can see there is a direction indicators. So if I'll say I want to transfer, obviously by default the values transfer from right side to left side. This is what the programming cultures in computer science, right? So your values always goes from right to left, but even it is possible you can transfer the value from left to right. That is what like the flexibility of our language. But the best practice, what we are supposed to do, we are not going to write a equals to operator. So need to think about like what all these different operators are there. For more details we have a separate operator section also. Okay, on the left panel you can see the operator section, and accordingly you are supposed to do all these things, right? And simply you transfer some values over there, and even you can write some complex results, so you will get the output accordingly. Okay, so this is the way how you can define your code, and simply just click to run, and check. You will get some अच्छा अभी ऐड आने लगा है क्या see their data type. So class is what? Class is the key which actually checks this variable belongs to which class. So variable belongs to which class, that means it will give you their data types. Got it? Which type of data type is that? It gives you the results accordingly. Got it? So what is the purpose of this class? Then you can see how to define numbers, how to deal with that, how you can print your values or check the variable class. So class is like you will get the data type, and if you want to print a value, simply write the variable, you will get the value. And if you write the variable within the class, it gives you the data type. Okay, again we have a concept of typecasting. So in typecasting we have a type conversions. So all type conversions means you can take a look like how you can convert the values into numeric. So the objects are there, so you need to type as is internal kind of you can say an an object to run these methods and convert your values into whatever the data type you have specified. So now suppose x is in the integer form, can we convert into the numerical form, right? So this is what like you can transfer and print the value and check their data types as well. So simple programs are available. Now if you go to the operators, what are the operators all about? You can see the mathematical operators, multiplication, division, exponential values. Check the exponential values, modulus, that is remainder, whatever the remainder is there in that term. So if you divide some values, and the integer division if the value you want in integers. So this way you can find the arithmetical operators. Then see, this is what I was talking about, the operators to redirect the values. This is simply you are going to overwrite, right? This is what you want to globally assign. This is means double less than symbol and hyphen, that means it is a we are going to assign the variable as a global variable. You know global variables and local variables, right, in the program. So if it is in double direction, that means it is a global variable. So data goes to that variable as a global variable. And then even you can direct a data from left to right also. So you can define the directions in right to left or left to right. Generally in programming, our data always goes from right to left, right? So this is the flexibility of our language, you can see, and how to just to declare a regular variable, local variable, or a global variables, and simply you can go and print your values. Got it? Although we also have a equals to, that is for comparison operators. So you know comparison operators are similar like in C plus plus or other languages. So again you can find like equals to, not equals to, greater than, less than, right? Greater than, less than, greater than or equals to, or less than or equals to. So these are the comparison operators you can try. We have a logical operators as well, and logical means ampersand, double ampersand, right? And pipe, basically for again or operator, logical or operator. And a regular or operator, you have to use a double pipe symbol. So it's similar like that. You want to go with a bitwise operator, or you want to use a simple regular operators. So we have those operators, and some other miscellaneous operators are also there. So understand like how to define the values and how to assign the data from one place to other. That is a very simple and best practice given in our language. Then further, we can try with some conditional operators, and let's try. So this is a very simple model. I think you know, in this case, again, you have a, uh, you know, similar like C language or your Python language and C language. The syntax is just similar like C or Java, right? And the indentation you have to use like a case of Python. So similar way, you just write your code, and if a equals to 33, b equals to 33. Now if b is greater than a, is it equal greater than a? No, they are equal. So it written like b is this, else if, else then space then if. Okay, then simply if a is equals to b, then it displays you the message that is a and b are equal. So you can define and you can check the code and see the messages a and b both are equal. So you will get the output accordingly. Right, is that clear? So there you will find the code accordingly. Okay, so there is a code a equals to 33, b equals to 33, and then you have a code. So simple if conditions, and you can go with that. Then you have a nested if, and or if, then loops, while loop, for loop. So you can try all these loops. So you have a concept of loops like one, I equals to 1. If I is less than 6, then print the value, and let's say I equals to I plus 1. So in case of equals to, we'll say the direction symbols are there, that whatever you will do, that would be get directed to that variable. Okay, this is the way only you have to learn, and rest all the concepts are almost same like you do in your programming. Hope this is good to go. So I have just given you the idea, at least all these basic things. Again, you have a for loop. So for means, now you know, in case of for loop, we have to define the initial value, then the limit value, that is a maximum value, and generally as a step values. Three variables generally we used to pass. But in this case, we have a data in dynamic form, so steps would automatically be considered. So for x in afterwards you have to define the range. So that is 1 colon 10. So it means it starts with 1 and it continues this loop till 10, and automatically increment is going on. Okay, and in the same way, if we have a dynamic list, because you know, like in Python we also learned how to work with list. So we have, suppose, a list which is a collection like an array. So you transfer that entire list into a one object called fruits, and one by one you pick those values from that particular collection and print those values or whatever the way you want. Even though you can define the values in the comma separated value, that could be also considered like that. Okay, so like in dice you have 1 2 3 4 5 6. So whatever is there, it prints all 6 values. So this way you can write your code, place your conditional results, and all the programs are there accordingly, right? Even you can make nested loop. So loops within loop is a very simple program where you sometimes you do like for matrix or some algorithms. So these are the basic things which you can apply, right? And the next and most important part, functions. So let's get into our functions. So what do you mean by the functions? So in that case, there is a keyword called function. Okay, there is a specific keyword which is called as function. So we are supposed to use a function, and the value of the function is to be transferred to any particular object, and simply you call that object. This is a defining of function, and then this is a calling of function. So this is the way how you define the name of the function, and then you redirect it and consider it as a function, begin it, write the statements, close that function. So now you got a one function. And as and when required, you just simply name that function, automatically it calls for you. How to pass the argument? No problem. Again, there is a function method. Under function method, you have to define your arguments, right? So whatever the number of arguments you want to pass, just add it with the comma separated values within the function method, and the values simply goes to your object called my function, and simply you can print those my function values, right? This way you can find out. So what are the default parameters? Let's say constructors also. So if you want to define a constructor, even you can define any parameter directly over there. Now you will say why it is equals to. Generally equals to is also working in R, but R always works with the data transmission, so direction symbols being used. But otherwise you can also use equals to transfer the value, especially in case of parametric part. So even we can define it as a constructor. So you have some default values within the method, as and when you place some data. If you will not place the data, then what would be the value? So there is a value like this. So there you will find some results. And now sometimes we need to return some method from the function. So we have a keyword, one method called return, and in return you just pass a variable or some any calculation. It simply return the values for that. So already 5 is there, and whatever the number being placed by you in the argument, and that number is to be multiplied by 5, and you will get the result accordingly, right? So how to pass the parameters? Basically the arguments in the functions, and how to process what is the default values, and how to return some data from the functions. This is the best practice you can try. Then you have nested function, recursion functions, global variables. I think that's what you can simply go through. So I believe the basics are now clear to all of you, how you can go ahead and you can simply click, try yourself and get the results and cross check what would be the result. So basic programming model, like again, nested functions, how nested function works. So take a look. You have a, let's say, a one method name called nested function, and say you have a function where you're passing two arguments, write your values. So now what we are supposed to do, let's say I'm going to call a method, right? I'm just going to calling a method. But while calling a method, now I'm passing nested method, the same name of that method, right? I am calling a same name of those method twice, not once, even twice, with the different parametric values. So the result for this being returned, and whatever being returned, that two value goes to x and y, and then the combination of these two methods is to be placed within that same method, and finally you will get the result. So this is a very good practice. Just try. See, you have some value 2 plus 2, say, because it's x plus y, right? So let us say for this method, what would be an output? That is 4. Okay, and what would be the output for this method? 3 plus 3, that is 6. So now the value becomes 4 and becomes 6, and now this 4 and 6 goes to the main method, and 4 plus 6, that becomes 10, and that is why we only get the output called 10. Understood? So it's a good method, good way to present the functions, and this is a way how you can write your recursive function. Otherwise, uh, a simple traditional programming model, you can select that as well. So we have a outer function. Under that, what you are doing, you are transferring the function value of x to the outer function, and internally you have a internal function which is a value you are passing, say y. Then you are doing x plus y over there and return the value, and whatever the value returns from the internal value, and that value goes to the outer value, and that outer value returns that value from the outer part. So we have only outer function 3. So we pass the value 3, and that goes to the output function, right? And in output, accordingly you can plan and you can find the results. So you cannot directly call the function because the internal function, right, you cannot call these function directly. Reason, because the internal function has been defined nested inside the outer function. So there is a outer function, and you can only call that one, you cannot call internal function, right? We need to call the outer one in order to call the inner one as a second step. So you got a nested modular steps, and you can cross check how you can write your code, right? So we created a value, let's say 3, in the new variable, and called the output. So we want to retrieve that output. So uh, this is what, give it as a value, which is basically 3. But we then print the output with the desired value of y, and describe the case as 5, suppose if it is 5. So in other way, if you call a method, first you calling a method, whatever the result generated by this calling method, right, calling method, and finally it goes to an object called output, and now on output you are going to pass another value. So basically this way you are transferring a data to y method, which is an internal method, right? So through object also you are going to run out and passing the value through object, where that object was just derived from some function. So just need to learn some basics, and you have recursion, the same pattern. You know recursion, calling that method in itself is recursion. So you have a same function, and otherwise, like in the previous one we defined the another method, but that was a nested method, that's the inner method. But in this case we are calling the same method within the same method. So that is recursion, that is the only difference, right? So function k, you pass the value of k to the try recursion. Now if the value of k is greater than 0, you got some like we do lots of time, you have a very common method called Fabonacci series, or some iterative models which you can define. So let's say you got some value, suppose we got a value example, let me take a 3, and 3 is greater than 0. So we'll get into it. Now what we want to do, we have to add. So 3 plus what we need to do, 3, and that 3 goes to the nested method, where now k is equals to k is minus 1, so that becomes 2. So now this method gives you 2, so 3 plus 2 plus 1. So 3 plus 2 plus 1, that becomes 6, and finally it prints the result accordingly. Now in case if the result is 0, else if the result is 0, then simply print 0. And now suppose we are passing value 6. So what would be the output? 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So whatever the value being generated, and you can cross check and you will get the results, right? You have a global variables also accordingly, as I told you, to declare a regular variable and global variable. The major difference, either you can define with the double less than symbol, which is for the global variable, but what about functions, global variables and with the functions? So create a variable outside of the function, right? Let's say I have a one outside variable, let's say text, and we have some data, right? And use it inside the method. So we have this variable which I want to use it within the method, within that particular method. So can I print like this, right? So if you try, so I declared the variable outside, and that is awesome is written, so you got an awesome word here, right? That means that same variable which is declared on the top can be used within the method also, right? We can call those variables. But in the same pattern, if we have some method on the top value, this is my, let's say, global variable or outside the function value. And now if I'll declare within the method, if I'll declare a nested variable, then what would be an output? You can see The first part is uh, you define the methods, right? So this is your global variable. You define some method, some variable, okay, and then you create a new method, and again you override that variable. The moment you try to override, we'll use a method, let's say, called paste. So first you will get the result paste. Paste means, in other way, it is creating a, a collection sort of. Okay, what is it? It is like working as a collection sort of. How come? See, because it is paste means overlapping. So this message got overlapped to the global variable, and that is why you will get a message for this paste method. That is R is equals to text. So which text? It is overwritten text. So the last one is fantastic. So that's why you got a fantastic output. So that's it. This is the way you have defined. This is just the defining of method, but the way you call, the moment you will call, you will get the first result, that is R equals to fantastic. And simply if you declare the variable txt, so we are just calling this variable because that is changes in the internal variable and that is on the external part. Simply you will get the exact whatever the message and the memory was there. So it automatically creates a nested memory variable for you. If you will not use, they'll use a global, but if you override, then you will get a overwritten value, which is the paste method. So this way or otherwise, we already know how we can define. We can have a double, two times you have to use a less than symbol for directing the data to those variables. So that is one of the way how you can process your data, right? So I think these basics, I have just clear all these basics. And let's say we'll go with the data collection. I think directly you can go with the list. What is list? It's nothing. I have shown you the method called list, and you have a data. Now you have a simple braces called regular braces, and place the data into the list and acting like an array, so you can retrieve their value out of it. Again, in the same pattern, you have a 0 1 2 memory allocation. So this way you can use the your list. You can append the data, add a data, so you can append the data in the list. So the method is append. Okay, and let's say you append, and you will get this way how you will get the method, and under this particular list you are trying to append. Now to add item to the right of the specific specified index, so after equals to index number. So after two, 0 1 2, after that if you want to add, so it would be again added over there. So after is a one of the keyword index the value which you can try. So it means it automatically rearrange your list, and you can place any data at any location. How to remove? Simply you can say from this list go with -1. You can simply delete this list, and you will get because there is no index, so you override that index, and so all the data lost. And if you print, you will get a new list, right? Range is automatically there if you want to extract the data from the range. So let's say I want to print the data of this list, but in square bracket you can define the range. So starting from 2, 2 means 0 1 2, so it starts from cherry 2 3 4 5, and it stops till let's say melon, right? So the list would be there, and you will get the results on that basis. See, this is how melon and kiwi, right? So 0 1 2 starting, okay, 2, this is 2, it is taking 2, okay, it's 1 2, okay, it is taking from this way. So banana 1, cherry 2, orange and kiwi. So 2 3 4 and 5, this is the way it is running, right? Okay, so you can try some more results. No, it means it is taking from 1, indexing the values from 1, not from 0. Okay, in that particular scenario. So join to list. If you can able to join the list, so how to join this? There is a method called C method. That means the most common way is to use the C function, which combines the two elements together. That is for the combination of two elements. That is C method. So you have a list one with a collection of list, then you have list two with the other some value, and then you are trying to combine and you will get the results. So how to handle matrix? So we have a method called matrix. Very simple. You have how many rows, how much columns, and your data automatically segregated into that. So one, two, three. Okay, and yeah, okay, you have three rows and two columns. So one, two, then three, four, then five, six. So two columns, three rows, right? It's so like simple. You can simply define the method called matrix. So if you define the method matrix and you can just define their values, you can simply print that values. This is how you got three rows. So one, two, three, four, five, six. So first your data goes to the row. Now that is also the direction along. It's not only dividing, but the direction is also being taken care, that you can define your direction. So please check the outputs before you run, because it is not a regular predicted output sometimes, as per your the behavior of the common languages. Generally we have a rows. Now it is working like in columns. So you can define your values automatically within the first column. So column 1, because you have to fill all the three rows, so in first column you will get the value 1, 2 and 3 in the columns, and then you will approach to the second column, and then rest of the data placed over there. So that is what I'm saying. Please check the results. You must check the results as per the code, because it looks something different, and sometimes the output is different, because there's no directional issues in our language. That is one of the best part, right? Otherwise all the languages goes in the form of left to right, and then it goes to the next row. So first we used to fill the columns, and then we fills the rows, right? This is how top to bottom will go. But in this way you can see they have filled even all the rows first within particular column, and then data transferred to the another column. All right, so please check. That is what I'm saying. Please check your values and then proceed. So check with vectors, data frames, arrays. So data frame means, let's say we have some data, because finally you have to come to the data frames and arrays and all these variables, like, okay, in the R language. So let's try to create a data frame. So the method is data dot frame, is the method to create a data frame. And now you have let's say one object called training, which is equals to, so it is combining three values over there with comma separated. Now comma pulse is equals to, it is just like dictionary, you have a dictionary. So we got a one uh, combining value variable like training, then we have pulse some value, and then duration. So strength, pulse, duration for a particular person. Then stamina 150, 30. Then others 120, 45. You consider it like this. So you got a data frame, and simply try to print that data frame. Just write like this. So see, you got things like in this. This is what I was talking about. Strength 160. So you can see the row strength 160, right? So automatically your data is to be converted into a data frame. So easy. Even you need not to use any code, any method, any loop or something like. Just you have a predefined method and able to handle that data, entire data into it. So don't you think so? Even it is much easier even compared to pandas, like in Python language, right? And how to access from each data frame, either by their index number or by their headings. So you can print. So just take a look. Now data frame dollar training. Check the syntax how to print the value, or data frame. So because it's a one main data frame, under that you have to take a main data frame, so square bracket and then nested square bracket, and then you can call the field name, that is training, or simply indexed value, that is training. So one would automatically, so same result, but you can print that same result in a different format. You can select any format, so three different format to get the same data using data frames. Data dot frame is the method, right? Now if you want to add more records, let's say append, right, add new row into the data frame. If you want to add new rows, to add new row there is a method called rbind, row binding, and under a row binding you are creating another data frame. So you are taking the same variable where you want to target, that means you want to add some more data in this data frame, comma, the value which you want to add. So combine this three variables in the training pulse and duration by using a method called rbind. So simply rbind method, and it redirects the data to your a new data frame, and simply you print your data frame, and you will find that some new data has already been incorporated in the strength 110, right? So this way you can see the results. Okay, this way you can see the results. See, this is the code, and very simple and very important code which you can try. Is that clear? The next is, so you can add a column if you want. So new column if you want to add somewhere. Okay, so accordingly you can even add a new column in the existing data frame. So then it is cbind. R is for row binding, and the method called cbind. So just need to remember some methods, basic methods. So cbind is for column binding within the same data frame. And what are their steps? So write the steps is equals to, again, your combination of the values, and simply you will get a new column which is binded to your existing data frame as a targeted data frame, and you simply print a new column, and with new data you will find the results. This way you will find a steps also as a heading, right? So you can try your code like this. Okay, so further you have a uh, graphical representation of your all the graphs, plotting. So how to plot the value 1 comma 3, right, or plot some values, the location 1 comma 8. So there you have 1 comma 8, okay, or 3 comma 10. So take a look, what is this actually, right? There you have x, y, and c is also x and y. So take all the x's one side, so that is why it is 1 comma 3. So now it doesn't mean that you have to take it xy, it is not 1 8. So according to that, otherwise 1 and 8 is somewhere else, so you will get a point something at this side. No, you have to find your the all the x's comparing to each another to their correspondent value, and same way for the y's. So the value is basically 1 and 3, 1 and 3 for x. So you can find the first point at 1 comma 3. This is the place you will get a 1 point at this stage. And the other one is 8 comma 10. So see, at the x-axis you have 8, and on the top you have 10. तो यहाँ ना ये छोटा सा मिस्टेक होगा आपका डेटा प्रेजेंटेशन को लेके. So please cross check क्योंकि इसको रेगुलर आप अपना एक्स वाई मत लीजिएगा. Is that clear? See the result. So you have to define even a bitmap, means you can go and download save as image, right? So you have an option where you can try save an image. See, we have the option save as image. Okay, so where is the point? So 1 comma 3 is the point, 1 and 3 is the point. Okay, and so this is all collection of x-axis, and there is a collection of y-axis separately. Understood? So it is not xy xy xy, it is all the collections of x-axis, then the collection of y-axis, and accordingly correspondingly you have to find the value. So 1 comma 3 is actually xy coordinate, the first coordinate, and then 8 comma 10 is the coordinate. So first you need to write all the collection of x-axis, comma, then the collection of y-axis. This is the way how you have to plot your data, right? So please cross check the way how the result being appearing, right? How you will get the plotting of line. So we'll get a plot and type L. L is basically nothing but the value L is for line. So you can define the line, right? Same line, which color line? Say I want blue color, so you can make the changes like in blue color. So plotted from the point 1 to 10, right? Type is line, okay, and column is blue. So you got all the blue columns, like it means you are converting your line into the blue color. Line width, now if you have a line width 2, so you will get little, thicker line, so you can make a formatting of this line. Clear? Is that clear? Right, so how you can make a line thicker? So that is LWD equals to 2. If I want a dotted line, then LTY is 3. So you can see a various different types of line. That means this is the collection if you can read. 0 to remove the line, 1 to display a solid line, dashed line, dotted line, dot dashed line, long dash line, or two dashed line. So you have a various different numbers. Just you need to make changes in the numbers, and you will get a various different type of look and feel in your diagrams. Right? Is that clear? Great. So this way you will find your results. You can plot your lines, make the changes in the color, and see you will get the lines, a good looking lines, or whatever as per the data set you have a data. So you can incorporate your data accordingly. How can we make a scatter charts? So again, the plot method is there. A scatter plot is a type of a plot used to display the relationship between two numerical variables, right, in the same pattern. So x and y coordinate, and you can see a lot of coordinates, a lot of points depending upon whatever the x and y values are there. So it's nothing but it is basically a simple plot. Now let's place some more data, where on the x tab the labeling is there. The labeling is like car age, and on the y tab you have a car speed. So according to the age of the car, the speed is reducing. This is how you want to present. So according to the age, if the age of the car increases, automatically the driving speed decreases, right? So how you can present that data? You have x values, you have y values. So you can see now we have x values, we have y values, and you have a plot. So x comma y is the same one. The main heading of that plot is observation of the car. So you can find the observations of the cars, and you can label x label, that is x lab, define some string, and comma y lab, that means you define some string for the y label. If you want to compare two different data set, right? Let's say we have two cars, or on a one day you got the age and the speed data, and the other day you got other data set. So you have a collections of data set. Then you want to plot both the values. So you can plot x1 y1. Accordingly, you just mention that data, and you can add points of x2 y2 with the other color like blue, and then accordingly you have mentioned that how it works. So there you will find both the values being pointed on the same chart. So first you make a simple plot, and then you can point other data set as well, right? Similar way pie chart. So pie, we have a simple data set, and you are dividing the 360-degree or 100% data into a some percentage. That is why we use a plot. So define the plot, and mention whatever the way you want to present, right? The value of x-axis to be on 90-degree. So you can define, and then the changes being occurred or presented in such a way. You can labeling is same, my labels like heading, or on a pie chart. So simply you can label, that is, it is a collection like, and the whole diet, suppose you have some data. You can define the colors which you want to apply as a call colors. So whatever the colors you want, you can define the colors over there. You have the option for colors, right? There you have a call equals to colors, right? You can define legends. So legends means you have labels, okay, and on the data, what data on which color, what is the legend? This is what, like, the word which you want to present, that how much apples, bananas, or other fruits. Map with their colors, and simply pie method, x comma, then label whatever the labels are there, and main, you define the main title of that chart, and compare the colors with their columns. So call equals to colors. And even see, we have a message called like bottom right. So which color belongs to which fruit? So you can explain that on a separate box, that is a legend, bottom right comma my labels, fill with those colors also. So in this way you can make a legends at the bottom right. Don't you think so? It's just like a basic methods, just you need to give the instructions and things done. This is all your R language, right? So you can make a bar graphs, scatter plot, bar graphs, right? Densities, and how you want to make changes. I think now it's quite easy for all of you to understand. Just try this. Finally, we have to come to the stats. So, stats means, if I'll go with a very basic stat, that is a descriptive analysis where we talk generally about mean, median, mode, percentile, variance, standard deviation, right? Covariance, correlation, or some probability distribution, percentiles. So, these are the collections of some basic standard methods. So, how to proceed? Let's start. So, first, you need a data set. So let's say we already have some data set. So you know how to now manage that data set. Okay. So there is a one collection already there called MT cars. Okay. So there you have a data set called MT cars. Now if you print, you'll find 11 columns with some values and lot of rows. Right. Now if I want information about data set, let's say I want a structure of that data set. So just type interrogative symbol with in front of that variable. So it simply gives you that what is the purpose of which column and what are their data types. And see, you got all 11 columns written in such a way with their values, what is the purpose to collect that data, right? So there you can find the entire information about that column, that data set. Okay. Now let's say we want to retrieve some data. So we'll transfer some data to the data cards, another one more data set, dim. Now what is dim? So dim function to find the dimensions of the data set. Okay, dim is to find the dimensions. And there's a one more function called names. So name function to view the names of those variables. What are the names mentioned over there? So the headings whichever mentioned over there, right? So we'll try to figure out that data. So find the dimensions, total dimension, that means 32 rows and 11 columns. So that is your dimension. How many rows and how many columns? Okay. And afterwards, we want to find the names of, so names method is nothing but it used to view the heading, all the heading names. So you'll find like all these column names, right? So you'll get the column names. Now, as you already have a data set, you transfer from empty cards to a data underscore cards, then you can find the row name. So row name means the first name, so you will get the list of those names, what are whatever being mentioned, and you'll get the list accordingly, right? Then their variable names with their descriptions. So you can just take a look of that data and try to predict. Simply print whatever the data you want to print the values, right? Just give me a minute. Okay, so I hope you can see this. So you got a data where you got a two method gem and name, and afterwards, let's say we have again a data transfer to a data underscore cards collection where you have a data set. And now if you display the row names, so you will get all the row names, right, wherever whatever is being mentioned. So this is one, two, three, and then fourth name is this one. So it is displaying your data into the columnar form, right? So first name, then second one, then third one, and then it goes to fourth one. Accordingly, total 32 values are there. So 32 rows and 11 columns. That is what the collection, your information of data set. And now, because we know what are their variable names internally, so we can extract those values from that particular column. So create again a data set, and to extract the value of any particular column, as we know, we need to write the data set name, that is a data underscore cards. Then to find that column, dollar variable is used. So you need to use a symbol like dollar cyl. So this is the way how you can extract the value of cylinder, that is car cylinder cyl, and the entire 32 values are there in front of you. If we want to sort, you want to sort, just there is a method called sort with the cylindric value, so you will get minimum 4 and maximum 8, and all the values got sorted for that particular column, right? If we want to analyze the data, there is just a one method called summary method. Can you find this? Very, very simple, called summary method. So all what you need to do, collect your data set. Once you get the data set, just use a method called summary. And do you know the best practice of summary? It gives you those 6 statistical methods, that is minimum value, first quantile, that is a percentile model, median, mean, third quantile model, and max values. So you must try this one and you will see how it works. Can you see the result now? See the results, and so it's like all 6 values for each column. The result is like all 6 values for each column. Okay, so all 6 values with the each column, you can find that how the thing works. And all 6 variables, min, first quantile, that is a percentile value, then median, mean, then third quantile value, and the max value. So for each column, there are total 11 columns. So all 11 columns are there with all 6 values of their description. So just one single method called summary will give you a proper results of each column, right? See, a very, very easy. I just you need to remember these methods. I think I would find like, especially this is for non-technical people who do not want to learn the programming, but they want to go for a data science or some data analytical part. So just they need to remember the methods and write their words. Like in Notepad, you are writing the words and the result is like awesome. It's just like that, right? So otherwise you can find your minimum value, maximum value. So we have some method called min, max, right? For mean, median, mode, you also have the methods mean, median, and mode. So got a mean, you will get the mean of that column and the entire data set. So you can define and something like that, right? Some examples are there, and you can try. So I think this is quite easy to go. Can you start working now on this? Is it really difficult? I think on a very short span of time, and we covered most of the things of your R language mentioned in your W3 schools. Now, only what all you need to do, once you are through with this code and you understood the way how it works, you are quite familiar with the syntax, try to write by your own, right? Make changes in your own and select your own data set, something like that. And afterwards, then we are supposed to come back to the collection of sessions which we are supposed to cover. All right. So we are supposed to find the sessions accordingly. Fine. Now you got a session. So session wise data. So you have a query. Create a vector of the size of 10 having these values. So you can create a list, compute the sum. So you know how to compute it, right? All the variables, just place it in sum, and mean, highest, lowest of these values. So you can even use a min method or max method, right? Or even you can go with the summary for all such values, compute the length of the vector. So you can see display only the structure of that. So you can find how many rows and columns. So you can find the length of this vector and find the variance and standard deviation of for the data on this vector using the formulas of the variance and standard deviation, and compare these values by computing the variance and standard deviation using R function. Finally, whatever the result is there, you have to sort it. So can't you do this? Don't you think so? It is quite easy now. Even I believe you can write by your own. So write your code in R language, select your data, create your own code or methods, and try to execute these methods on the existing data set in your all any ID, whatever you want. So in generally in R language, we have a one software called R Studio. So you can even download one R Studio, but unnecessary, it will take another 2-3 GB after installation. So I don't recommend like you occupy your system's memory into this. So instead of that, it's better you can try with Colab or Jupyter, applications, or even on Docker you can download the R Studio. Even on Docker it is available. So it's all your call how you are supposed to work, and define your things on that basis and start writing your codes. Right? Is that clear? How can you practice? It's all up to you. Or otherwise, even if you're not unable to download, or you're on roaming, or you don't have laptop or something, so hardly matters. Go to W3 schools or Geek for Geek, log in. Even if possible, you can log in, that would be great. But log in with your some anonymous account, because then promotional messages would be there. So simply log in, and once you logged in, you got an interface, and I think you can manage it accordingly. Right? Is that clear? How to proceed with this these types of methods? Again, next is create a vector of 50 quotient even numbers. So we want a even numbers, okay, and from also create the vectors having the values 30 down to 1 as 30, 29. So descending order basically, right? So you're looking for a model of descending order otherwise. So take a look how this method works. right? So this is what you can find, and try to complete these questions, basic questions now. Write your own code and test whether it is working. So hope you can try now. So it's quite easy. I think you can try all these methods, and let's try to complete and go get into directly into the major part of your some big collections and analytical part. You can have some data, so like even in your question they given you a one fictional data from Kaggle, that is Carlo Lepler toy hyphen data set. So study of the data set with ready of 10,000 rows and all the columns in that data set. So this is what the collection of data set already available for you, a big data set. At least for sample size it's a big only, but the data set has 6 variables. Okay, and you must first present the summary, so you know summary method. Okay, and explain the resultant tree. What would be a resultant tree for decision making? Tree enhance this model. So very simple concept, but you can try to use this or incorporate this data set in your programs. So it's all up to you how you'll manage, collect the data or download the data, or directly you can run the code on Kaggle itself. So it's all up to you how you will want to run and how you want to manage. So try your code with the Kaggle, right? Is that clear? You have a lot of sessions. You have nested if conditions, or how to install the packages and load some databases and check whether data set is working now. So a lot of things being driven. I think you can solve it by selection of that column and try to pick any data set and process it. So total 10 sessions, not more than that. But I think today you can easily manage to go through with all these sessions, with all these queries. Almost 31 questions are there. But I think not a difficult task, just you need to copy, paste, and process. So now everybody just start working on R language and check how you can do this. Write your own code on these all sessions and implement using R language, right? So I think you can now start implementation of all the sessions or problem statement given in your MCSL 229 data science model. So better to prepare the codes and running, keep it running in your system. It should be in your system somehow, That would be better because the codes will always sustain with you. And later, whenever you want to display those code, you can immediately take it out from your laptops and execute. So it's always recommended to keep your data offline, right? And then try using whatever the services you have. So please start practicing. In case you got any doubt, let me know.